No charges, no announcement. Just silence and armed men flanking her every step. They took her badge, her comms, even her name tag. And by the time the rest of the crew noticed she was gone, the ocean had already started shifting. She didn't protest, not once. As the carrier's deck crews scrambled in preparation for flight ops, she walked calmly between two military police, her hands loose at her sides. No cuffs, no shouting, just a quiet extraction. So quiet that only the nearest sailors even noticed. They escorted her off the carrier without a word. But behind that silence, something massive was moving beneath the waves. She had been aboard only 4 weeks. Officially, she was assigned to systems diagnostics for sonar protocols, a civilian consultant. At least that's what the briefing had said. But she wasn't just another analyst. She walked the decks like she already knew the ship. She read logs faster than the XO. And once, she corrected a lieutenant mid-briefing about a submarine class that wasn't even declassified yet. People started whispering, who was she? Then came the blackout. No comms, no radar, just a sudden system-wide whiteout, like someone had wiped the entire network in one swipe. That same night, they found her in the server room, calm, focused, hands behind her back like she was waiting to be found. Escort her off, no questions. And just like that, she was gone. But less than 6 hours later, long after her boots had left the deck, the sonar technician picked up something. Deep, fast, too fast. A nuclear signature heading straight for them. They escorted her off the carrier without a word. Then the nuclear sub emerged without warning. And that's when the real questions began. It wasn't on any map. It didn't respond to hails. And when the sonar signature showed up, every senior officer looked at each other with the same question. Whose sub is that? Only one person aboard had seen it before. And she wasn't aboard anymore. It surfaced without sound, 400 meters off the carrier's starboard bow. No flags, no call sign, just the matte black skin of a submarine shaped like nothing in the database. Command scrambled. Hails were sent. Protocols kicked in. No reply. Weapons weren't locked, but they were powered. And every eye on the deck knew this wasn't just another submarine. Then the log tech said something that stopped the bridge cold. There's no record of any sub scheduled in these waters. None. Zero. An hour passed. The black sub didn't move, didn't dive, didn't fire. It waited. Below deck, a junior sonar officer whispered to her supervisor, "Do you remember what that girl said about silent class prototypes?" The supervisor dismissed him, but others remembered. She had spoken once, quietly, to the night crew, describing an underwater craft with zero acoustic trail, capable of surfacing under radar dead zones. She'd even sketched it on a whiteboard during a systems drill, and then erased it before anyone could take a picture. That sketch? It looked exactly like what now floated beside them. They had escorted her off the carrier without a word, but now the thing she spoke of stood in silence beside them. As night fell, the ship's lights dimmed, and the mysterious sub suddenly opened a hatch, not for war, but for delivery. A small capsule ejected, and inside it was a message. Encrypted, addressed directly to her. But she was gone. She didn't vanish. She was erased, piece by piece. But the ocean doesn't forget, and neither do submarines that aren't supposed to exist. The capsule was taken below deck. 3 officers opened it behind closed doors. Inside, 1 sealed drive, 1 hard-coded access key, and 1 sentence printed in ink. Only she knows how to stop what's coming. Suddenly, this wasn't a security issue. It was a countdown. In the briefing room, the XO demanded answers. Who authorized her removal? No one answered, because no one had. The escort order hadn't come from the carrier's chain of command. It was pushed from outside, through a ghost channel no one could trace. The systems she had touched, the diagnostics she'd run, all began to align like puzzle pieces. They realized she hadn't been scanning the carrier's systems. She was mapping its vulnerabilities, not to attack, but to defend it. But against what? And why had she been silenced right before the black sub arrived? The old weapons officer finally spoke. Years ago, I heard whispers of a ghost fleet, vessels built off record, crewed by ex-operatives, no loyalty, no law. Everyone went silent. She had known. And that capsule? It wasn't a warning. It was a lifeline. From her to the crew she left behind. They had escorted her off the carrier without a word, but now they needed her more than ever. And the only question left was, where did they take her? She wasn't a threat. She was the firewall. And by removing her, they had cracked their own hull. Now, the submarine waited, not to fire, but to ask just one question. Where is she? The capsule's contents were decrypted within the hour. Inside the drive, a simulation. A war game, one that hadn't been run in over a decade. Its outcome was always the same. Carrier destroyed, crew 0. Cause, silent underwater breach. Target, reactor core. And on every iteration, one phrase appeared just before total failure. Unsecured after personnel extraction. She had known what would happen if she left. Because she wasn't supposed to leave. Back in naval intelligence, she'd been classified under Tier 7. Not as a combatant, but as a live protocol, a walking system override, embedded deep with counter-intrusion routines written directly into her neurochip. Removing her from the carrier didn't just weaken security, it disabled it. She hadn't been a visitor. She was the system. And now that she was gone, the submarine was waiting to confirm it. It hadn't come to fire. It had come to test their defense. The crew scrambled to locate her, but they were 2 hours too late. She had never made it back to shore. They escorted her off the carrier without a word, and then she disappeared without a trace. Then, just before midnight, the black sub submerged again. No torpedoes, no warnings, just silence and one final sonar ping. It translated into a single encrypted word. Failed. Somewhere below the waves, the ghost fleet marked them compromised. And in the dark silence of that deep ocean, a second sub powered up.